Dear Lord. Okay, I'm gonna title this short video as "How to Waste Your Money on an Episode 1." Yes, this is an anime video, and I'm gonna talk about anime. Okay, yesterday I watched this anime, this a new anime called Slow Start. It's a slice of life moe anime, and I'm I'm really I'm bewildered. I'm very confused. I'm I really want to know what's the thought process here. How did this episode got made? Who is responsible for deciding everything that happened in this episode 1 of this anime? So what I what I'm talking about is that this episode 1, this anime called Slow Start, is ridiculous. Just from the pure number of frames and pure number of animation and movement alone, it's it's very atypical and unlikely of a typical slice of life anime, much less a very niche moe slice of life anime. Let me tell you is that there's so many scenes where there is such an excessive movement, excessive unnecessary movement that contributes nothing to the anime, as into the characterization, to the humor. I'm using an air quote here. I wish I have a web camera. But the excessive animation, the character movement, that does not that does not improve the anime itself, does not improve the character, does not improve the humor, does not improve the individual scenes. It feels like a very expensive episode. My friend said that this is as if that somebody had a budget for an entire season of an anime and decided to blow it in one episode. I mean, like, it's very typical for a series to have a episode 1 with higher budget. That's how you draw in interest, even though it might be a little disingenuous, because the quality of animation, the number of cells and frames in episode 1 is almost always more expensive and higher count than, especially in the middle season of the anime. It feels disingenuous, but I can understand the decision to do that is to attract viewers, to make them look feels like this anime has better quality than the average is. But in this anime, the Slow Start episode 1 is a little too much. Which brings me to question that how does this anime get this much budget to do this much expensive animation in the episode 1? Because this anime sucks. I am a fan of more slice of life anime, but I cannot watch this. This is I'm gonna include I'm gonna include this in my later video, which I have planned, called "The Problem with Moe Slice of Life Anime." I have a lot to say about that, because as I think I myself is a fairly huge fan of this genre. I have watched a decent amount of titles of this genre, and Slow Start does not have any gimmick, does not have any good comedic timing, good humor, or good delivery. The characters are so far are very bare bone. There's no any hook on them. There's nothing that pulls you in. It is a very it's a very typical of a vanilla moe slice of life anime. It too focuses on the cuteness and the brightness of the color, the bright and cheery color of the style, that it forgets to entertain. It banks so much on people liking the characters that it forgot to entertain viewers that might not like the characters. One point that I'm gonna talk about in the video on later video that I have planned is that one problem with moe genre is that many writers think that the readers or the viewers will automatically love their characters, that the readers and the viewers want to know, enjoys everything that they do. This is simply wrong unless you are a really good writer that really devises really good scenarios and scenes for each of these characters. You have to pull us in first. You cannot just give these pretty looking characters and then just say, ah, they are doing cute stuff, so you should have fun, right? No, no. Slow Start is so boring that I criticize many moe anime for having a gimmick but does not use it well. Something like, no, I mean not necessarily bad gimmick. Something like Blend S. I think Blend S have a decent gimmick, but does not utilize it well. But that's another problem. But there are also anime with bad gimmick and does not use it well as well, just like Hinako Note. And but in Slow Start, there is no gimmick at all. If you don't have any gimmick, as in your story is only about cute high school students, you have to compensate it by having actually entertaining dialogues and humor and comedic timing, good music to accompany it, good sound effect, good scenarios, interesting scenarios, something like that. So my concern is that this episode 1 is obviously very expensive with how many frames that it has been run. I wonder how if they can manage to achieve half of the quality of this episode in later episode 2, 3, 5, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and if they actually manage to make this anime looks this good throughout the season, I have another question. Why this anime? Why is there no other more amusing anime with actual good comedy, actual good interesting gimmick and interesting setting? Because from the summary, it does not look like there is gonna be any other any other hook beside that. An anime about cute high school students doing random stuff every day. This is not like, let's say, Lucky Star. Even though Lucky Star don't have any particularly gimmick, but how the writers handle each characters in their own scenes, and how the parody and the otaku aspect of it kinda bundles everything together, and just in overall, just amusing humor in general, really makes that a Lucky Star, which be able to you might be able to explain it as an anime about high school students, about cute high school students, but the content to be very engaging and entertaining. But in this case, it's not. I mean, I cannot imagine it being any better, because even with this episode one supposed to be one of the best episode in the whole season, one of the most engaging episode. But the scenes are slow, the dialogues are slow and unfulfilling. There is little attempt at comedy. Like when I watch it, I look at it as like the pictures are pretty, but the dialogues are hollow, the scenes are hollow, the characters are very so. There's nothing amazing that happens. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, a pure slice of life can happen, as in a slice of life that focuses more on the life aspect of the story instead of a more comedic aspect of the story. Let's say something like Sketchbook full color. I really like it. Another anime, Flying Witch. It's very focuses on the life aspect of it. It has less comedy, but they are both very interesting in their own way. I really love these two slice of life anime, and they have their own gimmick that they use as well. But as for slow start, I really cannot imagine how this will attract me to watch in the future. Anyway, I said that this is gonna be a short video, but it has been already 10 minutes, so I'm gonna bounce. Good night.